Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, a little while ago, saying it's not really a financial thing, but defensive players who are free agents, who are starters now, and free agents after the season include Charles Haley, who, of course, they had to talk out of retirement this year. Leon Let It Be, the defensive tackle, who's a heck of a talent, along with Russell Maryland, the former #1 pick. Brock Marion, who is now a starter because of James Washington's departure to the Redskins, and Darren Woods. So they're really their secondary, among others. So they're perhaps saving bucks that they're going to need a little bit later on. Here's the trade that Chris was talking about. Go to the podium.
We have a trade, 41st selection. Dallas has traded its pick, which is number 41, to Atlanta. With this choice, Atlanta selects defensive back from Tennessee, Ronald Davis. The Cowboys acquire from Atlanta Atlanta's second-round pick, which is number 46 this year, and Atlanta's fourth-round pick, which is number 110 overall. Next on the clock, Minnesota through Denver.
All right, so that's Ronald Davis, defensive back from Tennessee. And Joe, you know, they had some years where we sang that darn Notre Dame fight song the whole first round. It's the first time in a long while that we have not seen a Notre Dame player since 1990. And Bobby Taylor is a name that I'm not sure what's happening, Mel, but let's first talk about Ronald Davis.
A fast riser. A lot of teams liked him in this area. He moved up because he's a great athlete. He's a 200-pounder, former running back. Played there his first years, didn't move to really corner until '93. See him here against Florida, Joe. You're looking at a guy here with the instincts to play the ball. Here he comes up with the interception. Obviously good hands being a former running back. Here he is now in the deep ball. Look at the eyes, locating the football, making the play against Mississippi State here, and that's what you want. A lot of defensive backs in the NFL have coverage, the ball's still caught, or they interfere. This kid, as a former running back, was able to get downfield, make the play, get the turnover, and like I said, because he's a 200-pounder, can support the run, and he's been running blistering 4.43 40s. Most people thought he'd be an early to mid-second rounder, and for an Atlanta Falcon team who's going to force Anthony Phillips to play corner, and he's more of a safety, they at least have some security with the Ronald Davis at that spot.
Well, not only do you get the security, but you get the flexibility to move him around. I think it's a good choice. It's an area of need. Again, June Jones staying exactly where he needs. He needs some secondary help. He went and got it. I was impressed with the film. And Mel brings up a great point. A lot of defensive backs can cover people, they can break on the ball, but they can't get their hands on it. I think the difference between seeing somebody like this young man go versus Hitchcock is Hitchcock has no interceptions in his entire college career. He just can't seem to hang on to the football. Either he's not around it much or he can't hang on to it. Here's a kid who every time you turn around, the ball's up in the air, he has the ability to go get it. Big plus for defense.
He's been making movies, has Hitchcock. I'm sorry, why he didn't make any interceptions. He's a great kid.
I believe you.
North Carolina. Minnesota, who had 2 firsts, has 2 seconds. So their war room is abuzz. They're on the board. We'll be back.
The combination of the Nordic track exercise along with a low-fat diet has really helped me trim my waistline and my weight.
When I first started working out with the Nordic track, I lost a lot of weight in a very short period of time. I went from 226 to 172 in just a few months.
I look good. I feel good. I've gone down 2 dress sizes. I feel sensational.
If you've ever wondered what a Nordic track workout can do for you, just listen to an owner.
You want me to talk about my experience with Nordic track? I had become a couch potato. We all know what they are. Ended up talking to my doctor, who said I had to do 2 things. Watch my diet and exercise regularly. So as a result of getting on the Nordic track, I brought my weight down considerably. I lost 12 pounds. Now I want you to go right out and buy one.
Call now for your free video and brochure to learn how you can get on track with Nordic Track.
So how's it looking for the Blackhawks? Well, it's a shorter season. We've had to put things together a little quicker. You know, we had to pick up the pace a little bit. But I think the guys adapted pretty well. You know, they've gained half a step.
All right, welcome back here to New York, where the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and as a matter of fact, have here's how they got this second-round pick. This is one of the ones they acquired for Gary Zimmerman, for their offensive tackle. They shipped off a year ago to Denver. Denver, the reason we were not going to hear from them until the 4th round is their first and third went to Atlanta a year ago for Mike Pritchard, who's healthy. And now remember, he wasn't there at all last year, getting hurt in training camp, so he's going to be back, along with Vance Johnson, who they signed again, who still runs fast. And Ben Smith, the corner, they had shipped the 3rd-round pick to Philly. So that's why we're not going to hear from the Broncos today. Now, with the pick the Vikings have here in their first of their 2 second-round picks, they have taken defensive back Orlando Thomas from Southwest Louisiana. Not Orlando Cepeda, but Orlando Thomas. Again, Bobby Taylor not here. What about him with good size at 6'2", 210?
He is a pure safety. Played around the line of scrimmage line. You'll see him on the outside here coming on the sack. And you look at the speed, look at the size that he delivers. The jolt here, the quarterback strips the football. In coverage for a big man, he has pretty good movement as well. Another sack there. But watch his hands and his ability to hit and separate. And that's what you want in a safety, to be able to range over and make the aggressive hit. This kid doesn't take bad angles in pursuit. He takes precise angles, and he makes plays. And he may not be a guy who can project the corner like some of the other players in terms of versatility, but as a pure safety, both he and Melvin Johnson from Kentucky were right up there at the top of the list.
Well, I tell you what, let's go up to Minnesota, because, again, they're going to have to get right back in that war room and go to work on their second-round pick. 3 players are ready to the Vikings. Let's head back to Brad Nessler. Brad?
All right, Chris, with that defensive back in Orlando Thomas being taken right now, remember they lost Todd Scott to free agency. They lost a corner and Anthony Parker to free agency. So the Vikings were looking at a defensive back, and I think a lot of people were thinking, well, do they take a quarterback here? Quite frankly, they still think they can get the guy they want in the number 55 spot, I think, if they're going to go in that quarterback direction. Come on in, Denny. Here comes the coach who just made his choice. Orlando Thomas, you had an opportunity at Corey Fuller, a cornerback too, Bobby Taylor of Notre Dame, but you go with the kid from Southwest Louisiana.
Well, I think versatility is the key. We like Orlando because he can play free safety. I think he has a great communication skills. He makes the big hits. He can also have he has tremendous range, and you can also bring him up and blitz him. So we like his versatility, and we like his size.
And with losing Todd Scott, I was talking about that, he could maybe fill that bill.
He can. You know, we picked up a couple guys in unrestricted free agency, but I think for us, Orlando was rated very high. We liked him. We had him right up in the 1st round because we feel he brings a lot to the table, including size, speed, quickness, and versatility.
You and I were talking a little bit about Bobby Taylor, and the guys up in New York have been talking about that. He has slid a little bit, the kid from Notre Dame. Just didn't quite have the second half of the season, you think, last year?
Yeah, and he's young. You know, I think sometimes when guys come out a little bit too early, and I think a guy like Orlando's been in a lot of football games, started a lot of games, and so he has a little bit more experience. For us, losing a few players, we picked up a few guys. It gives us the kind of guy with experience, a veteran, a mature, ready to come in and help you right away, help you in nickel or help you in first down situations, and he'll also be a very good special teams player.
You and Roger Hedrick told me yesterday if there was an off-limit pick in the Vikings draft, it was that number 42 spot in the 2nd round. And a lot of people thought maybe you'd go quarterback here, but now you're 13 spots away from another choice. Is that where you go offense?
Well, it's hard to say because, you know, there's still only been 2 quarterbacks picked, and we like a lot of guys on the board. There's some very good quarterbacks. So we have another pick coming up at number 55. We still are looking at a lot of different things. We were called a great deal about that 42nd pick. Everybody was interested in it, but we got the guy we wanted. We're really pleased with that, and so now we'll kind of hang tight, and we don't have a pick in the 3rd round, so this pick, number 55, is very important for us.
All right, Coach, get back to the war room, get to work.
Thank you.
Denny Green, let's go back to New York, guys.
All right, Brad and Dennis Green been very, very busy, and you heard what he said, experience. You know, Bobby Taylor came out a year early, and so those, I know that some of the undergrads come up and make their money and get in the draft, but for some you slide because they wish you'd stayed in school senior year. We'll be back.
Luxury automobiles. One with flawless workmanship, a rich leather-trimmed interior, and exceptional performance. For everyone who's been searching for the perfect car, Acura introduces the TL Series.
A falling price. What would it sound like?
A crash.
The prices do fall. They fall.
First it's like 12 cents, then it goes to 10, then it goes to 9.
It was $25.96, now only $22.96. It was $59.76, it is now $54.97. It was $28.96, it's now $24.96. We like our customers and we want to give them a good deal. Watch your fine prices.
What guy hasn't experienced it? You couldn't be happier. You're absolutely devoted. And boom, something goes wrong. So you start saying, that's it, no more, because I'll never feel the same way again. But you know what? Time passes and you feel different, and boom, you're back together. Come on, make up. Opening day, don't miss it, because you'll only hate yourself if you do. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but someday you'll be in the car and you go, boom, what the hell happened there?
Well, we hope you are enjoying our continued coverage here of the NFL Draft. We're getting close to 7 hours, at which point, about 7 o'clock, it will be time for us to say adieu as the Sports Center comes up with something that I think we know something about, NFL Draft news. Michael Jordan in action today against Charlotte. A preview of the George Foreman fight. The draft coverage will continue second round, and if it ends early enough, heaven forbid they might get the third round in, if it ends early enough, although that's not really the plan. Sports Center coverage will continue on ESPN2 at 7 when we go off, and will continue as long as it goes. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon here on ESPN1, if you will, from noon to 3. Let's check in with our correspondents and see what they've been able to digest as we are approaching a third of the way through the second round. Mort, Carolina's been very busy. 2 offense, 2 defense, and they've got to be pleased with the players that they got and the value that they got at the slots that they selected them.
Well, I think they are, Chris, but this is a historical day for the Carolina Panthers, and I think in 3 or 4 years we're going to try and figure out, did they do the right thing by trading the #1 pick? Should they have taken Ki-Jana Carter, the best running back in this draft? Should they have taken Steve McNair, who they had a shot at? Instead, they traded down, took Kerry Collins with the 5th pick in the draft, a guy that Bill Polian compares to Jim Kelly. Now let's go down to Jacksonville.
I'm Andrea Kramer. Tom Coughlin has got the players and the positions that he coveted. He got Tony Vaselli, the tackle on the left side. He's got Brian DeMarco, the tackle on the right side. And, of course, he traded up to get running back James Stewart, a guy he's coveted all along. By the way, about Brian DeMarco, one thing he likes is his run-blocking ability. Let's head down to Tampa now.
I'm Gary Danielson in Tampa. Tampa wheeling and dealing all day. They're still wheeling and dealing here. Rich McKay, Jerry Angelo, Director of Player Personnel. Let's see, he's going to pass $3. That better be a 5. He's coming back. I'll take the boss. He's doing the smile. Tampa, a very successful day. A big winner with Warren Sapp. Let's now go to the New York Jets.
This was the fun house of the draft, starting with last night when they traded Rob Moore, their top receiver, and then today scored the second biggest upset in franchise history when they drafted Kyle Brady, a tight end from Penn State, with their first pick. And then they went and signed Eric Howard. What a day here. Let's move on to Minnesota.
All right, I'm Brad Nessler at the Vikings camp. You got to think offense and quarterback right here. Warren Moon's almost 39. Brad Johnson is playing in the World League right now. Sean Salisbury is a free agent. Vikings need a quarterback. Is it Chad May or is Cordell Stewart a wild card here? Now let's go to San Francisco.
I'm Leslie Visser. Carmen Policy said that last year's draft, which resulted in 4 starters, was like a date with Michelle Pfeiffer. And he said this year's date is going pretty well, too. J.J. Stokes was the 49ers' top receiver on the board. He's big and tough and talented. When asked to respond to criticism that he's just not that fast, Stokes by phone said, I just have to get past the defensive backs. For the 49ers, so far so good. Let's go down to Dallas.
And I'm Chris Myers, and the Dallas Cowboys draft is 7 hours old almost, and they've yet to take a player. They will shortly with 3 selections in the second round, unless, of course, they trade down again. They've already made 2 trades. Jerry Jones says looking for backup players, special team players, doesn't see a player that can start for his team. They have $2.2 million to spend under the cap, including that money for rookies. Some of that will be spent on free agents. Let's now go to Philadelphia.
I'm Mark Malone here in Philadelphia. The Eagles were